Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
They say that everything is bigger in Texas, the ranches, the 10-gallon hats, and the hair that they hide, and even the state capitol just down the road. And so it is with tonight's venue, the Circuit of the Americas, home of the United States Formula One Grand Prix since it opened to the public in November 2012. And not only does it have that 100-foot rise leading into Turn 1, now known as Big Red, and named after a business icon and major investor in the circuit, the late Red McCombs, but it also holds the Formula One attendance record with over 440,000 spectators descending upon tiny Elroy Road over a 3-day period last October. Like I said, everything's bigger. Welcome to the Esports Racing League presented by Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, Spec Racer Sports, Common Gear, and Grass Paddock Motorsports here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and filling in for Jack Ritchie tonight, who's a little bit under the weather, is Charles Bochelle. And of course, we've got Lee Thompson bringing you all the great views of tonight's action. And for those of you joining us for the very first time tonight, first off, thank you and welcome. We've got 4 different classes in the Esports Racing League. We've got Spec Racer Ford and Spec Miata, as well as 2 touring car classes featuring the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup car in one class, and then the Toyota GR86 Cup car in the other. And each one of our 4 classes will race 6 times over the course of our 9-week season. And it's week number 8 tonight, and we come down to the wire. As we come down to the wire, we've got 2 20-minute sprint races on tap for you. First up, going to be our Spec Racer Fords. You can see them there out on track for their qualifying session right now. This is going to be their 6th and final race of the season, and then we're going to follow things up by Spec Miata. And if you're looking for some touring car action, they'll be joining us in 2 weeks when we wrap up the regular season at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And so, good evening, Charles, and welcome to the Esports Racing League.
Hey, Greg, thank you very much. Glad to be here tonight. Kind of feel like the weekend weatherman that got called up to the anchor booth here for the race tonight. I do generally work with the Ray Sports Weekend Warriors on Sundays.
That's right.
Doing the Spec Racer Ford and the Formula Ford 1600. So this is a little different, but very similar, and I'm looking forward to helping call the action tonight.
Well, I was going to say, being here in the Spec Racer Fords, it's kind of right in your wheelhouse. We're here tonight at, I think, a very special track to the United States. Again, a track that is has so many different features, so many different tracks melded into one in this Herman Tilke designed facility. We've got long straightaways, we've got these creasing radius turns, we've got these big wide sweepers as well, and just something that it basically throws everything at cars like the Spec Racer Fords here as we trail and we watch Morgan Burkhardt here on track. Burkhardt currently our third fastest driver on qualifying here as he's coming through the stadium section of the track. And what we're going to do, Morgan usually gives us our track guide each week here on the Esports Racing League. We're going to bring in Morgan Burkhardt as he's got just a couple corners left on this turn. He's coming into the final corner now. Morgan's going to lead us on a lap of the Circuit of the Americas.
What's up, everybody? This is a pretty fun track to me. It's a lot of draft. It's a lot of flow. I really have always enjoyed driving here. So we're starting to come up the front straight in this really daunting uphill into turn one. You can really use it to your advantage. Brake really, really deep, using the column, making sure that you're just really getting into each apex, not really doing it too early, not doing it too late. Each one of those turtles, you want to just clip it, put the tire right on top of it, and then coming out of it, very technical section, really easy to get off tracks through here as well. So got to be really tidy through this section. Back down the hill into the hairpin, most important corner on this track. You want to really make sure you can get a good exit out of here, square it up, throttle early, get a punch off the corner because it is such a long straight, and the first half of it is uphill, so even more of a incentive to get a good run out of the corner. But the big thing with this track is abusing track limits. These paved sections are right next to the track. It's not grass, so you can put two tires over these white lines in places, and then coming into the second hairpin on this track, or not second hairpin on this track, the end of the back straight, heavy braking zone, very good passing opportunity, and then into the stadium section. It's difficult to do because it's, especially in this car, it's all turning. You want to just keep tight lines through here, make straight lines in braking when you can, go super wide into here is what I prefer to do. Hit the apex on the back side of it. Try not to get a little bit of wheel spin like I did there, but coming into this long right-hander, it seems to go on forever. Keeping it tight through the corner, making sure to carry speed. You don't want to float out too wide because then you really can't get back for turn 17 here. Oh, actually just got a 1X there, but this is the apex, got a little bit behind, but very important to be super tidy, especially on this back half of the lap. And then through the final corner, uphill again, kind of works against you off camber. Want to be really precise and tidy through those corners, but there's a lap of Circuit of the Americas.
All right, thank you so much, Morgan. And Morgan, before we let you go, real quick here, big difference and not so much for qualifying, but under race conditions, this track, Circuit of the Americas, far, far wider than where we were last week at Road America. How do you approach that with that knowledge? Are there places where you find it much easier to set up a pass because you've got maybe more room there to get it done, or does that really affect your strategy at all?
Oh, it for sure does. Defending here it's really rather pointless, to be honest, because there's so many passing opportunities and there's just so much real estate to put a car through on somebody, and the straights are just so long to make moves on. So defending gets a little bit difficult. You can't really do it. You kind of just have to play the strategy, play the draft, really, especially in the Spec Racer Ford and the Global MX-5. You have to be in the right place at the right time, pick up the draft when you really want it, and kind of just probe throughout the race, then figure out where you want to be. If and I'm gonna make a bold prediction here, but if the lead pack is still intact by the end of the race, if it's 3-4 cars, I'm gonna want to be in third. I'm gonna put my money on the third car is gonna win this race.
All right, you heard it right there, everybody. Morgan Burkhardt with tonight's track guide and a little insight in tonight's first race of the evening. Thanks so much for joining us, Morgan, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
All right, so there you go, Charles, right from the horse's mouth. And Morgan was our previous season Spec Racer Ford champion. So we'll definitely have to watch there as it goes quickly here. We sent our drivers out for 15 minutes for qualifying, and we've already hit that 15-minute time limit. Drivers here like Josh Justice, who races a Spec Racer Ford in real life. He's out from Texas. Both he and John Vogel directly behind another real-life Spec Racer Ford racer looking to get in. I think their very last flying laps. We'll see if these count or if the session, if iRacing ends the session on them before they get to the checkered flag. Right now, Justice is your ninth fastest driver on track, and actually that wasn't John Vogel behind him. I think that might be the 52 of Corey Heffron directly behind.
Yeah, I think they should be able to get their laps, and I think it's going to let it extend out so they can complete these final flying laps. It was really interesting to watch Morgan and to hear him talk about the track layout. It's really right. There's a lot of long straightaways for these cars to do a lot of drafting, but then the S's, he's talking about the little, what he called the apex turtles. These cars are not the sturdiest on the iRacing service, and it only takes one of those. I've seen those diamond curbs basically take out GT3 cars if you hit them wrong. So
they'll launch you.
They will absolutely do that, and they'll destroy your suspension. And then it's just basically a race done at that point. So you need a fair bit of precision going through there to get the fastest line.
Indeed. All right. So Heffron and Justice coming across the line to complete their last flying laps. Neither driver is going to improve. Actually, Heffron did improve on his previous best time, but does not move up any further than 8th. Josh Justice also getting close to his previous best lap time, but he is not going to improve, as we're now on board with Ethan Oring, who was on his final flying lap. And unfortunately for Ethan, a couple off tracks, does not set a time in qualifying. A number of drivers did not set times in qualifying and are going to get shuffled to the back of the field. We'll see here in just a moment as we bring our drivers up, who they may be, and we'll give you the starting grid here in just a moment. Matter of fact, we're going to have the grid coming up right now. Charles, you're new to the Esports Racing League. I'm going to turn over the starting grid to you.
All right. Well, starting on pole is John Carlos Schooler. Miles Crabb in P2. On the second row, we got Morgan Burkhart, who we just heard from earlier. Chris Montgomery in 4th place. Jim Brewster and John Vogel occupying row 3. Charlie Vaccaro and Corey Heffron on row 4. And rounding out the top 10, Joshua Justice and Andrew Wozencroft. Mark Sherman and Gary Winters on row 6. Joaquin Effinger and Wayne Buttermore, row 7. Ethan O-Ring in 15th. Benjamin Forrester in 16th. And then the final 4, Jamison Huffman, Joshua Soto, Trenton Kramer, and Justin Huffman.
Yeah, and that's gonna make for some interesting racing. Ben Forster, one of our former championship winners here in Spec Racer Ford, starting from the back of the pack, and he's got a number of podiums so far this season. Jamison Huffman and Josh Soto as well. Trenton Kramer, B-Spec driver, drives a Mini Cooper in SCCA road racing. He's going to be starting towards the back of the pack. We'll see how he does tonight in the Spec Racer Fords. As the pace car now just about, I think we're waiting to see if Justin Huffman, that's Jamison's father, whether he appears or not. Otherwise, we'll get underway. And there you go, pace car now starting to bring the field around, heading up towards Big Red, that 101-foot rise up the track. And actually, no, I take that back. We're going to have the shorter pace lap. They're coming down into turn 12. So let's do this quickly, Charles. Let's talk about our sponsor for tonight's first race, and that's Spec Racer Sports, whose mission it is to fuel and support your addiction to road racing. And Spec Racer Sports delivers by providing the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair, competitive price, and all with exceptional customer support. Located trackside at Motorsports Ranch, Houston, Spec Racer Sports offers exceptionally prepared Spec Racer Fords for both rental and for sale. They offer storage and support, driver coaching, as well as technical services such as chassis dyno work and fabrication. To find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services, head on over to specracersports.com. All right, so there you go. And I did not know that iRacing had a short pace lap here at Circuit of the Americas. I got caught out there for a moment. I thought we had like another 4 minutes of time for chit chat here.
I do think I remember seeing that in the release notes for the new seasons. They've added a few short pace laps to some of the American tracks recently. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see.
All right, so we've got the pace car now bringing the field out of turn number 19, peels off, heads onto the pit lane. That's going to turn things over to Giancarlo Schooler and Miles Crabb. And again, with Morgan Burkhardt and Chris Montgomery on row number 2 as they come onto the front straight and wait for that command to go. And well, here we go. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing at the Circuit of the Americas. Now, that second row with Miles Crabb had fallen back just a little bit, and what we always have to watch out for here, it is so wide coming into turn 1, but then narrows down as you come out and start to run down the hill. You have drivers usually running very wide, but you always have to worry about the one guy who sees that gap and shoots straight for the apex here. But early on, taking the lead from third position, it's Morgan Burkhardt. Slotting in the second is Miles Crabb, Giancarlo Schooler, then Chris Montgomery. And it looks as though Ethan O-Ring may have gone around, may have had a bit of an issue there and drops back. And now spinning, that is Gary Winters. Winters in the 0-2 machine. He goes around and, well, I was just going to say that everything looks so promising at in the first couple quarters, and it only took 3 more before it started to all fall apart for a good portion of the field. But as they come up towards the hairpin for the first time here, Charles, it's Burkhardt, it's Crabb, and it's our pole sitter Schooler starting to work away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, this was what we're going to see here. Burkhardt had a really good run through the S's, almost a little like he straight lined it, but just had the perfect line going through there, was able to get up to the lead. And so now it's how long before this draft kicks in and starts pulling those cars that are in like third to fifth to sixth, all the way back. How soon will they be able to make up a gap if they can?
If they can. And so John Vogel gets around Chris Montgomery. Vogel started 6th. He's now in 4th and leading that second pack of 3 cars with Montgomery and the red number 933 machine of Brewster. But it looks like Heffron and Justice and Beans Forster making up ground pretty quickly there. Forster already has made up 7 positions. Soto and Kramer, who started at the tail end of the field, they've made up 8 positions here as they are now starting their march towards the front of the field.
Yeah, so far just the one O-ring is still moving, and the spinner we had that had the damage, I think, is still on the track. Justin Huffman did not apparently make the start of the race.
Yeah,
so
he did
we're down
not.
to the 19 cars on the track. And as we can see, basically single file line. We got Josh Justice out looking to the inside, trying to make a little pass coming up the hill. Got that inside line, so should be able to work his way through, and does.
And that's actually Beans Forster making the move on Josh Justice.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Hey, first time here, man. I've got some of these liveries ingrained upon my mind over the last 3.5 years. We're good. All right, there you go. Andrew Wozencroft, driver of the number 80 machine. He started off in 10th, dropped a couple positions on the to start, dropping to Soto and Kramer. And Wozencroft, a Spec Miata racer in real life out of the San Francisco region of the SCCA, and he's finding it a little tough here. As he got the bum rush there from Jamison Huffman and from Charles Vaccaro as well. Vaccaro, a spec racer, Ford racer from the East Coast.
Yeah, obviously we are talking about the digital series here, so I think these cars take a little bit of time to try to get adjusted for the feel. They don't quite handle, obviously the same way the Miata does, because all the weight in these cars are at the back. So they're gonna handle a little different than what he's used to, and it'll take him a little time to get used to it.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, compared to obviously, say like a Miata, you really have to be very careful with your throttle inputs, or actually as you remove your throttle inputs just with the engine hanging all the way out there. To you really have to be cognizant of the lift-off oversteer in these cars, and certainly on the first couple laps or so when the tires are very cold. Big difference there. Oh, running very wide. That was Jamison Huffman in the 89 machine. But somehow he makes that work, gets around Andrew Rosencroft. Oh, it's Trenton Kramer in the 444 machine. He goes around. He's going to try and get that car back underway, but he loses positions now to Buttermore, Effinger, and also Mark Sherman as our leaders. Now, the leaders are coming into 20. We're watching right now a little bit further back. This is Charles Vaccaro with Huffman and Wozencroft. They are making the run out of 19, heading into turn number 20. They are just about to complete completing their first full lap, or probably completing their second lap, starting lap number 2.
As we see, this is like Forster still moving forward. Indeed, another pass, this time on Jim Brewster.
Yeah, nice run from the inside there is Brewster got alongside John Vogel, though, having some problems coming out of turns 1 and 2. He appears to be very much off the pace for a moment there, as he now drops back all the way in the 9th position after having been up in 4th.
Yeah, heard him call it out. He had to slow down, so he just went wide coming out of 1, and so he had to just kind of back off the throttle and let the slowdown clear.
Yeah, and interesting is there, we heard as Morgan Burkhardt was talking about, learning how to abuse the track limits here, or, just running right up to the ragged edge. And certainly in real life racing at the Circuit of the Americas, that is a challenge because, much like most FIA Grade 1 tracks nowadays, you've got all that painted area necessarily rather than gravel traps. And, as long as it's asphalt and the car will stick to it, you try and use it. But here, let's take a look. Looks like we've got a replay queued up. And this is the run up to turn number 1. And this was on the start. Let's take a look here as they come in. And we're going to see now as most of the drivers make it down. And remember, it's only a couple turns later where we see, I think it was Gary Winters go around in the 02 machine. And there's Winters hanging all the way drivers. He was driver's right, and I think he actually got some of that. Oh, look at that.
There's that curve.
There is Ethan O-Ring. We saw him also drop down through the order. It looks like he might have gotten a little help there from Jamison Huffman.
Yeah, well, obviously I think curb strike did more damage than anything. It just launched him. And then, once the tires are off the ground, you goes to passenger at that point. So,
exactly.
So then you're at the mercy of wherever the car lands and bounces.
All right, so real quick here, Charles, while we've got, I was going to say a lull in the action. I don't think in Spec Racer Ford you ever have a lull in the action. But just wanted to bring up here our current point standings in the series. We didn't get to them during qualifying as Beans Forster now making a move to the inside. We did have our last race, round number 5 in the Spec Racer Fords last week at Road America, where Giancarlo Schooler was your winner. Zhao Lu and Wan Chi Lin finished 2nd and 3rd, with Megan Overstreet 4th and Brewster 5th. But in the point standings right now, Megan Overstreet, she is currently your championship leader with 78 points. She is not here racing this evening. Miles Crabb, who is currently running 2nd to Morgan Burkhardt, he's 2nd in the championship, only a single point back from Megan Overstreet. So if he continues to play, I would say if he plays it safe tonight, he could come away this evening as your new championship leader. Skip Brock Jr., currently 3rd in the championship. Josh Soto is 4th in the championship. Soto currently running 9th here after making up 9 positions. And then Josh Justice, and Justice currently running 7th, just 2 positions up on Soto.
Yeah, as you were reading through the points, obviously it's a tough blow for Overstreet, who's not here tonight. That's effectively going to knock her out of the championship lead. But I was watching down the track. There was another car that caught the right side curve through the S's and went for a little bit of a ride. And I could not catch the number.
Let's see here. I'm wondering if that was maybe Charlie Vaccaro.
Yeah, I think it might have been. It may have been, as I was kind of looking down the time.
Yeah, I'm showing Vaccaro is having dropped. He was running in 7th position in the 221 machine, dropped down into 14th, but I believe he's just now moved Wayne Buttermore back behind. And look at this gaggle of cars behind Charlie Vaccaro. We got Trenton Kramer in the 444 machine, and I think we might have just lost Charles Vaccaro. I think the Vaccaro machine might have just gone around. I don't see him in that pack any longer. As Trenton Kramer now moves up into 13th with Ethan O-Ring in the 62 machine, that dark blue 62 that we saw coming. We saw the replay coming out of turn 1. He is running now in 14th, then Joaquin Effinger with Big Texas on the side and Mark Sherman. But let's jump back to this battle for the lead here now with Morgan Burkhardt and now our pole sitter, Giancarlo Schooler. Charles, he has managed to get around Miles Crabb. That's going to move Crabb now back into 3rd position. But you know, as it stands here, you know, it's 3 drivers, and I think we're looking at almost 8 seconds back to the rest of the field.
Yeah, I think they've kind of separated themselves, and that's going to be difficult for anybody to make up that kind of time. We basically have the race over at this point.
Yeah,
so we're going to look at it like a 9-lap race or something like that. So
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be, you know, I think it's interesting that Burkhardt, as he was doing his lap guide during qualifying, said he would pick the guy that was in 3rd, and he was in 3rd, and now he's leading the race. So I wonder if he's going to play some strategic game here, or is he just going to try and stretch the gap?
Well, I wonder if Giancarlo Schooler's been listening in on us, because just as you were saying that, Charles, he outbraked himself going in the hairpin at turn 11, and Miles Crabb now retakes 2nd place from Giancarlo Schooler. Maybe Schooler's thinking, well, you know, I could just sit back here in 3rd now for the next 4 or 5 laps, and I'll be in 3rd, ready to go when we come down to the last lap. As we jump a little bit further back right now, we've got Beans Forster now kind of sitting all by himself there in 4th position. He's got Josh Soto in the white 07 behind, but then it's Jim Brewster, Chris Montgomery. Brewster in that red number 933, Montgomery in the blue and red machine, the 313 car. And John Vogel, who had that slowdown earlier, he just now comes right underneath Josh Justice and Corey Heffron to make up 2 positions as he's trying to work his way back forward.
Yeah, it's Soto and Forster have done a great job. They're up. Forster's up 12 positions and Soto's up 13. They started at the back of the field and just have been a nice combination of patience and aggression to make up that time. As we see another
and talk about a little bit of aggression. I think that was Mark Sherman that had just gone around in the number 18 machine, and he gets that car back around. Let's take a look and see what happened to Mr. Sherman.
Good line through. You got to spin behind.
Yeah, that was Buttermore that went around behind.
Then he was coming to the inside, and so it looked like he caught the inside curb and maybe too hard back on the throttle, lost the rear, and then made contact with the car on the outside.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, as we saw that car on the outside kind of blink in and out, I'm wondering if there was maybe a little net code involved with that one. That, but it looked like before the impact that that car, the 18 car, did have the rear end kind of step out on him. So likely not the contact that caused the issue. As we watch here as John Vogel and Josh Soto trying to, and well, let's also add Heffron and Huffman into this as well, trying to use Vogel as a kind of a bridge to get up to the next group, up to Montgomery and Brewster, and that's a pretty large group there. Now Vogel has a fast lap time of 2:30.8. The driver just ahead. Well, the best lap for Montgomery about 4/10, actually closer to 5/10, half a second off of what Vogel had driven. And look at this, you can see it's Heffron and Justice doing a little bump draft and trying to get back up to the back of the 4 machine.
Hey, that's the That's the old NASCAR way, right?
That's right.
2 cars will go faster than one if you put them close enough together.
Absolutely, and you look at these, Charles, the way these bodies and these fiberglass bodies, the profile has not changed very much since the mid '80s, when the SCCA was using Renault-powered drivetrains in these cars. But the way that the rear end of that car is profiled, yeah, there's a cage there for the differential, but the nose of these cars just kind of perfectly slots in underneath the ducktail to make one long Spec Racer Ford.
It really does, and that is one of the reasons that they draft so well, right? Because they will hook up like that, and if you get a train of 2 or 3 cars, as we see here with this 4-car group, as they get tighter and tighter, as that draft just brings them all together, they will pull them up, and we've seen it on the Weekend Warriors where you'd get a 2 or 3 car breakaway, and then the next thing you know,
it's gone.
Those 2 cars go side by side, and now there's 8.
Yeah, exactly. that you always have to in classes like this, or we're going to have the Miatas a little bit later. You always have to worry, that even just the smallest bit of battling for position, you go through 1 or 2 corners side by side, and all of a sudden there are another 6 cars there along with you because they were just drafting up.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, that's what makes this racing so much fun.
Yeah, I love it.
You really, it takes a lot to get a 2 or 3 car breakaway like the guys up front have done tonight. And I'm sitting there looking at Forster. I think that was a 40-minute race with a pit stop involved, like we would see on the weekend.
Yeah, he'd be right up there.
I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't count him out. He's running a really good pace, and he's actually closed it down a bit. But once again, you need some help, and I don't know that he's got enough help to get him up there.
Yeah, indeed. He just kind of started at the back of the pack. He was already on the back foot there, and as he was trying to work his way through 12 other drivers, as he's done so far, and 13 for Soto directly behind. It allowed our top 3 to kind of drive away, but now you can see Forster and Soto. They've started to put a pretty substantial gap back to Jim Brewster running in 6th position, and might be why as we watch now Jamison Huffman battling it out with Josh Justice, and then Corey Heffron and John Vogel as well, as time is starting to run down. Only 3 minutes remaining here. Probably, depending on where Burkhardt and Crab are, and they're, I think, probably coming through the last couple of corners right now, we may only have a single lap remaining here. We might be able to get a second lap in with the lap times running into 2:29s, and now only about 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock.
Yeah, so the top 5, because now we're up to 7, and they've already crossed. So I think, based on what I saw, I think we're going to have a 10-lap race tonight. So it looks like that they're going to be able to get 2 more laps in this, and that's going to give Crab and Schooler time to maybe close the gap up to Burkhardt a little bit. They
we'll
are
see. Miles
together.
Crab is right there, and Schooler, at this point, Crab and Schooler, very, very close. But Burkhardt in the last couple of laps has started to open up a bit of an advantage over those 2 drivers. So we'll see if third or second is in a position, or if Morgan Burkhardt was just telling old fishing stories or something here. Excuse me. As we've got Chris Montgomery and Jim Brewster there, great little battle for 6th. And there's our battle for the lead. Coming through the hairpin as Burkhardt now has opened up almost 15 car lengths. Actually, I don't say 15, maybe 10 car lengths on Miles Crab and Giancarlo Schooler. And, Charles, it may come down to not who's in a position to take the win, but who's in the position to take second, because I think that's what they're fighting for at this point.
I think so. They are closing the gap up. It's dropped 2 or 3 tenths over the last lap, but don't know if they've got enough time to get back up there. It's going to be up to Burkhardt. If he makes a mistake, misses a corner, they might have a chance. Otherwise, I think you're right. I think it's just going to be a battle between P2 and P3 here.
All right, Josh Soto has gotten around Beans Forster, so moves Soto now up into 4th position. And currently he's in line to be the hard charger of the evening. 14 positions made to Forster's 11 as they're getting ready to come into the stadium section. Very interesting. They've been calling this little part of the track the stadium section for a very long time here, Charles, and it wasn't until 3 years after the track went up that the actual stadium for the Austin Bold Football Club was built. So it truly is a stadium section now. As Morgan Burkhardt comes across the stripe, we've got one more lap to go. As wow. Talk about the nick of time. He crossed the stripe there, Charles, with about a second to go on the clock.
Yeah, very close.
And Soto now taking a look, or probably that was Miles Crabb taking a look underneath Giancarlo Schooler. Schooler, though, has the positioning with the 111 car now sitting in 2nd place. Miles Crabb back in the 3rd, a little bit further back. Beans Forster and Soto roll down the hill through turns 1 and 2. Soto, for the moment, is going to lock in behind Beans Forster. And then in the battle for 6th position, we've got Jim Brewster pulling right up behind the blue 313. And look at this. We're now 20 minutes into this race, Charles, and only one of the battles I think is actually for a podium. But these guys, they just aren't giving up until the checkered flag.
Absolutely not. There's still points on line, so any position gained is a few more points at the end of the season. So they're going to keep battling until the checkered flag.
Wow, Giancarlo Schooler runs it very wide coming out of the hairpin. He certainly would have gotten a 1X there. I don't think he got a slowdown penalty as Miles Crabb is drafting up behind him. You see as Schooler's sticking all the way driver's left. He's about as defensive as you can get as they come down and make the run, probably the hardest braking corner on the track down into turn 12.
Yeah, that just kind of backed out. It was, and then he went wide, so it was a nice cut under. Crabb to make that position. Yep. Yeah,
that's going to move Crabb now up into 2nd position. Let's jump and watch this fight as we've got Soto and Forster. Soto defending down to the inside, and we saw as Forster had moved all the way from driver's right back across the driver's left. They're side by side as they're going to come through now turn 15. And great move by Forster to just get late on the brakes. Wow, did you see how loose Soto got there?
Very loose. Yeah, he did a switch back to get the inside line for that group of corners for the last corner there. So great strategy on the part of Forster.
All right, Morgan Burkhardt comes out of turn 20, comes across the line, takes the win here at the Circuit of the Americas. Miles Crabb, he's going to hold off Giancarlo Schooler, and this should give Miles Crabb the season championship in Spec Racer Ford. A little bit further back, just off the podium, Beans Forster, he does hold off Josh Soto at the very end. And look at this, another drag race, and it is Jim Brewster. He's going to come home in 6th position. Chris Montgomery, he'll finish in 7th. Josh Justice finishes in 8th with Corey Heffron 9th, and John Vogel will come out in 10th position with Wozencroft, Kramer, Sherman, Effinger, Winters, and Wayne Buttermore completing their last couple of corners here. There's Mark Sherman crossing the line. I think Joaquin Effinger coming out of turn 20 now. And our final drivers coming out of the last corner. But great finishes there. All right,
Absolutely.
Let's do this here, Charles. We've got a couple folks here lined up and ready to go for the 2nd time this evening. Well, actually, tell you what, let's do this before we bring in our winner, Morgan Burkhardt. Let's talk to Miles Crabb, who, by my calculations, and I'm really, really horrible at math, I think Miles just came away with the season championship.
Yeah, I was actually disappointed that Megan wasn't here tonight. I'm sorry if that you didn't mean to throw it to me, but anyway.
No, go right
It was pretty
ahead.
much. It's not. Well, yeah, I guess it is over since tonight was the last race. I wish I could have fought with her. She was only 1 point away. She drove great all year, but that race was fun. I was trying to keep up with Morgan, but he was just a little bit faster. And right when I hit my kind of go mark in the race, when the tire started to fall off, Giancarlo made a mistake and we lost a couple of seconds, and that was pretty much it. And then with 2 laps to go, I defended down the back straight, and I didn't mean to because I thought it was the last lap. I just, in my head, I was like, well, this will be an 8-lap race, you know, and we ran under a 2-minute 30, which I didn't expect. So I defended on the next to last lap, and then we pulled Matt Mladen and Ben Spees going through the tight hairpin on the last corner where neither one of us wanted to pass each other. So that was some good, stupid fun.
It was some great balance. We enjoyed watching it. So I'm just trying to think. So yeah, it was. I was going to ask about the switching on the last couple of laps there, but I think you kind of answered that question already.
Yeah, I knew I didn't want to lead, and going down in the long back straight, I was not good on the brakes. I'm just not good in this car for some reason, and Giancarlo was lights out. So I knew if I could get beside him and get ahead of him and kind of fade in the middle of the track so that he doesn't have a good reference point, he might go a little bit too deep and miss the corner, and hey, that's what happened. So worked out pretty good.
All right, so Miles, anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's podium finish?
I think Mom and Dad are watching, so hi, Mom and Dad. And
Hi, Mom
Will
and
probably is too, so hi, y'all. Thank you all for putting this on. Thanks to Stevie for dealing with us and adminning this, and all the admins. It's more than just him. I know it's a pain to run a league, and thank y'all for doing this.
All right, there you go, everybody. Miles Crabb finishing second tonight in Spec Race 4. Congratulations again, Miles.
Thank you.
All right, let's now bring in our winner this evening in the Spec Racer Fords for the second time tonight. Charles, it's Morgan Burkhardt.
Morgan, you lied to us.
I did a little bit.
Yes, you said the guy in third was going to win the race. But you know what? Actually, you didn't, because you said the guy in third was going to win the race. You just happened to do it on lap 1 as opposed to the last lap.
That's true. I got it over with pretty quickly. I was thinking ahead.
I was really the run that you had through the S's on the first lap was pretty impressive. It just almost looked like you straight lined it from that vantage point. So it was great racing. And then once you got in the lead, you just kind of set the tone for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I was pretty fortunate to get through on the opening lap. I just kind of had a bigger run than Jameson. No, not Jameson. JC and Miles coming out of turn 1 and into turn 2. So I was just like, I'll just take it. I think I can clear them before the corner starts, and I'll have the preferred line going into the S's. So I was able to get that done, and then from there, I was just like kind of just driving myself around the track, making sure I didn't make too many mistakes. But we were basically driving on the surface of the sun, and I might as well have had what's it called, locomotive wheels for tires. So it was pretty sketchy at times, especially after the tires started to get worn in. It was really loose through corners, but I mean, ended up bringing it home, wrapped it up at the end, so I'm pretty happy.
All right, well, congratulations. Anybody you want to thank?
I'd definitely like to thank the PRG team with JC and Nathan, you guys for putting on a good show, and Jameson and Wozy, Beans, everybody who hops in our little calls to kind of have some fun while we do the races.
All right, congratulations, Morgan.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Morgan Burkhardt, your winner tonight in Spec Racer Ford. And that means, Charles, we got one more race tonight. We've got Spec Miatas coming up next. But before we do, let's take a quick little break and thank some of our partners and sponsors that are bringing you the Ray Esports Racing League tonight here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be back in just a moment.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
And welcome back to the Circuit of the Americas for the Ray Esports Racing League. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Charles Bochelle sitting in for Jack Ritchie tonight, and just had a really darn exciting Spec Racer Ford race, and now our second race of the evening is coming up. We're about 9 minutes into qualifying, Charles, for a race I know in a group that I know everybody waits for, and that is Spec Miata. And you thought the drafting was exciting in Spec Racer Fords. You're probably going to see that and much more here tonight in the with the MX-5s, the Miatas.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. This is the car that most everybody that does any road racing starts with. So if you're familiar with iRacing, you've seen this car a lot. You've driven this car probably. And so these guys are going to go out here and show you how it is to really race it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it's
my
first one.
That's right. It's definitely a momentum car, but you can drive this car around most tracks with your throttle foot. Although looked like there we just had, I believe that was not Andrew Wozegar. I believe that was Charles Vaccaro who drove it around with his throttle foot right around the corner, and facing the wrong way as we're on board right now with Beans Forster. He once again does not have a lap in the. Actually, this is his first flying lap, so we'll cut him a little slack. But it looks like he may already have an off track, so this lap may not count. But we'll let him go here. Currently, your provisional pole sitter is, and tell me if you haven't heard this before, it's Giancarlo Schooler with a qualifying time at 2:31.943. Miles Crabb, though, almost 0.8 of a second off of Schooler's times. That is immense. Charles Vaccaro, currently your third fastest driver, and we'll have to see here some of the guys that we know are quite fast here in the MX-5s, like a Morgan Burkhardt, like a Beans Forster. They have not yet put in lap times here, as Forster has had a couple of off tracks, but now he manages to put a lap in, a 2:32.65. He goes up to second here in qualifying.
Yeah, I would assume that it's going to take these guys a couple of laps to try to readjust to this car. We talked about it a little bit in the previous race. This car doesn't drive the way the Spec Racers drive. So, is a lot more throttle control. You can still do some of the same things, but all the weight's kind of shifted around on you. So it's you're doing things just a little bit differently with these cars than you will be as opposed to the Spec Racer, where you can lose the rear. In this car, you're just going to hammer the front, and it takes a lot to get it to turn, but you can do it. A lot of times it's just to be curbs, get on the curb, and next thing you know, you're sideways.
Exactly.
These cars, like I said, it's just a little bit of driving style difference. So it would surprise me it takes these guys a couple of laps of time to adjust.
It probably will, and they're sprung a lot more softly than the Spec Racer Fords will. They'll be able to take you may see the wheels lift up in the air, but they can take those little sausage curbs fairly well. And some of the other curbing that does have rises to them, they can certainly pound those a little bit there. And again, I think a little bit easier to control perhaps than the Spec Racer Fords. I think what we've seen, Charles, through most of the events this season is that the drivers are going to have to be very wary of cold tires on the first lap or so. And certainly when they go up to a big red for the first time, because it has caught out a number of drivers at a number of different venues here this season. We'll have to see. But let's do this. Let's take a quick look back at some of our previous finishes, and then also where we stand in the championship standings. We're going to start off with our two classes that are not racing tonight. We're going to start off with our Touring 3 class, which are the Toyota GR86 Cup cars, where last week both they and the T4 class with the Jettas did run at Road America. Beans Forster was your winner in the GR86 Cup cars, almost 7.5 seconds to the good over Miles Crabb, who came in second, with Ethan O-Ring finishing in third, and it was pretty darn close. It was only about 3 car lengths separating Crabb and O-Ring at the end. Nagase Yoshikawa just finished off the podium, another 3 car lengths back from there. And you can see now in the point standings, we've got a tie for the lead going into our last round, which is again going to be in 2 weeks at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca between Beans Forster and Miles Crabb. Caleb Pocock is 11 points back from there in third, then Wayne Buttermore, and then Andrew Wozencroft, your top 5. If we take a look at the Jettas, our Touring 4 class, last week at Road America, Michael Snow took the win, and boy, was it close. Only a half a car length. It was a drag race out of turn 14 and up the Road America straight. Michael Snow, by, again, about a half a car over Jim Brewster, who finished in second. Megan Overstreet was 4 car lengths back from there. Overstreet was leading going into the last lap. She finishes in third, with Yanchi Lin just off the podium in fourth. And if we take a look at the championship standings here, it's Megan Overstreet, your points leader, by a single point over Michael Snow. Then Morgan Burkhardt, who was last season's champion, Derek Marcos, and Trenton Kramer. Again, those racers all will be racing in 2 weeks. And now let's take a look finally at Spec Miata, where these racers last took to the track 2 weeks ago. That was at Mosport at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as I seem to be calling it recently, Charles, Carolina Tire Motorsports Park. I spent too much time in Kershaw, South Carolina, calling races in real life. As they were at Mosport CTMP. Beans Forster was your winner. Margin of victory over Morgan Burkhardt, 67 thousandths of a second. Giancarlo Schooler came in third. Wanchi Lin finished in fourth, and then it was almost 13 seconds back to Corey Heffron, who finished in fifth place. And there's your point standings now, with a commanding lead over the rest of the field coming into tonight's final regular season race. Beans Forster, 90 points. Morgan Burkhardt, 64. Megan Overstreet third, Miles Crabb fourth in the standings, and then Giancarlo Schooler, our provisional pole sitter, coming into this sixth and final race of the season.
This should be everybody else. As you're looking at the qualifying, this should be everybody's last flying lap. Already past the 15-minute window, so.
We'll see her on board with Joaquin Effinger. Effinger still trying to get a lap time in. He's had a couple of off tracks on his previous laps. He's currently working his third flying lap, his third attempt. As he comes through turn 19 and He's gonna let some faster traffic by. I don't know if maybe he had an off track or not, but the 07 of Soto goes by, the 62 machine of Ethan O-Ring as well. And Josh Soto, as he crosses the line, and besides taking off the nose of his car, puts in the second fastest qualifying lap at a 2:31.05. Look at that. Soto just about 111 thousandths, so 1100ths off of Giancarlo Schooler's provisional pole time.
Yeah, just waited to the last minute, but got a really good lap time in, puts him up on the front row.
Yeah, great run for him. Josh Justice there, we saw at the very end, finishes up 10th in qualifying. Andrew Wozencroft, who I think is still might be trying to head back to the pits, 5th fastest. And we should have our racers start to grid up here in just a moment. And we will get underway.
Yeah, I was watching, as we were watching Effinger, looked like he was kind of struggling. You want the car to kind of slide through the corners a bit. And just didn't quite have the timing down on it. So
yeah, we'll see. Hopefully he'll be able to get ahead. What I've found when I race, Charles, is in a lot of cases, even at racetracks that I don't seem to gel with. When I have like a rabbit to chase, one, you can use if he's ahead of you, he's probably he probably qualified better than you. He's maybe a little bit faster. Even if he's qualified 10th, he's still somebody that you can learn from. And I always go into it looking for that opportunity to try and improve. Sometimes you're not going to be battling for a win, but it's certainly something that you can use and apply down the line, maybe when you come back in a couple months or a couple weeks and race again, or when I racing, heck, when you race 20 minutes later.
Exactly right.
All right, let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's second race of the evening. For the second race in a row, Giancarlo Schooler is going to be your pole sitter, with Josh Soto starting over to his right. Then we got Beans Forrester starting in third, with Miles Crabb starting in fourth. Those are your front two rows. Starting fifth tonight, Andrew Wozencroft with Trenton Kramer making up row number 3, with Ethan O-Ring and Charles Vaccaro starting 7th and 8th. Then Michael Snow starting in 9th. Josh Justice will start 10th. Jim Brewster 11th. Wayne Buttermore will round out row number 6. Then we've got Joaquin Effinger and Mark Sherman. They're going to start 13th and 14th on the 7th row. Morgan Burkhardt, and here's the bit of a surprise, and we'll see is Burkhardt's going to start from the back of the pack, or towards the back of the pack, starting 15th with Corey Heffron 16th. And then we've got Jameson and Justin Huffman. Burkhardt's in the session. We'll see if Jameson joins. We know Justin did not make our first race. We'll see if he comes out for race number 2.
Looks like the right sideline got a slow off start there.
That's right. So as they're starting off on that long back straight, the 6/10 of a mile, 1 kilometer long back straight from the hairpin at turn 11 into turn 12. And as they come around on their pace lap here, Charles, let's talk about our sponsor for our tonight's second race of the night. It's Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. Built for the true sports car enthusiast, Grassroots Motorsports has one mission, and that's to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in print, or in person, the racers and builders, the car nerds at Grassroots Motorsports, take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything this hobby has to offer, from 1,000 horsepower track monsters to cool street cars built in driveways. Now, they also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars, because hands-on technical articles, they're not typed behind a desk, they're scribbled down in the garage. To not only read but become part of the story, head on over to grassrootsmotorsports.com. For a moment there, I thought the pace car was the pole sitter there, Charles. As we almost had like a missing man formation as Giancarlo Schooler tonight in the black number 111 Mazda Miata. It actually dropped back quite a bit. pace car now on the pit lane, turning the field over to the 111 car. We've got the black 111 car to the left. We've got the white 07 of Josh Soto to the right. Then Beans Forster and Miles Crabb directly behind. And waiting for the green flag. They've got the early stripe just out of 20 is your finish line, but your start line all the way up here, about 2/3 of the way down the straight. And there you go, green flag is in the air, and we are racing Spec Miata style here at the Circuit of the Americas. And now this is what I expected to see, Charles, in the Spec Racer Ford races. They fan out like 25 wide coming up the hill, going into turn 1.
Yeah, I think one of the cars, maybe the 62 car of O-Ring, maybe blinked a couple of times during the format coming up to the start-finish line, as you see it again now. I think he was just trying to get out of the way, and nobody wanted to let him get out of the way. Somebody still tried to get out of him coming up the hill.
All right, there you go. And hey, and there you go. First time we see somebody jumping over the sausage curbs. That was Beans Forster in the 231. He doesn't start at the tail end of the field. Whoa! And that, who is that? Is that O-Ring again in the 62 machine? But Forster not starting from the very back of the pack this time. Oh no, that was the 40 machine of Morgan Burkhardt, who started at the tail end of the field. He's already up now 6 positions into 9th position. But I was just going to say is Forster doesn't have to start from the very back of the pack. He's only starting in 3rd, so he might have a better chance here of making a run for our leaders. As we see Burkhardt kind of poke to the inside in that white and blue number 40 machine. Wozencroft in the orange number 80 machine. Good start for him. He gave up position to Trenton Kramer, but he is still right in the thick of this battle as Soto and Schooler come out of the hairpin and start to make their run down.
Yeah, great move by Soto. Had a fantastic run down the back stretch to take the lead. He's still fighting. He hasn't quite got it sealed yet. Schooler's trying to fight back on the outside. Ooh, a nice little crossover. They're still going to be too wide coming into this next section.
Yeah, and that left-hander at 16 is so incredibly tight. I think probably, other than the hairpin, the tightest corner on the track. And even with these MX-5s, the Miata is very hard to get the power down. As Soto runs a little bit wide, coming out of 19, I think still managed to keep it on track there and not getting off track as they come out of the final corner now and onto the front straight and complete our first lap of the evening here from Circuit of the Americas.
What kind of run Schoolers, as we see, he's moving to the inside. He's getting these cars, is what we talked about with the Spec Racer with their drafting. These cars are drafting really well also.
As Schooler comes down underneath the 07 machine, Soto giving him a lot of ground. Oh, and we've got contact. The 62 machine of Ethan O-Ring, the 444 of Trenton Kramer right up at the top of Big Red. And they are now going to fall down through the order here as they're trying to get back underway. It looked like O-Ring had a good deal of damage to the nose of that car. And O-Ring now takes his machine to the pits. Now, we do give our racers one quick repair. And so we'll see if O-Ring, he should be back on track here in just a moment.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Schooler there, but he just missed the corner in a bad way. Really got out of sorts and kind of backed up into Soto and Forster, who's looking to the inside, trying to take over that second position.
Yeah, look at that. As Forster comes down and makes his attempt known pretty early, coming into the hairpin at 11. But as they came out, you cheat into the inside there and you just don't get a good run out. And so Soto, for the moment, has the position. He's going to start to get a little defensive, though, with the 231 and the 131 directly behind. Miles Crabb kind of just sitting there and waiting, looking for the right opportunity to make a move.
I was going to mention Burkhardt that wasted no time. He's already up to P5, starting from the back of the grid. He maybe saw what happened with Forster in the last race and said, you know what, I can't wait for 2 or 3 laps to go. I've got to get up there now. So
Yeah.
he's going to put himself in a position to challenge for this win before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think he's in a very good position at this point. As we're not even 5 minutes into the race. We're only working lap number 2 currently, and he is already has his sights set on our leader, Giancarlo Schooler, as they come into turn 20 to complete lap number 2. And let's see what kind of a run Burkhardt gets here. Sitting off the back of the 131 of Crab. Takes the sweet time to kind of drift over and pick that draft up. Doesn't look as though he's quite close enough to shoot down the inside. It may take maybe the run down to 12. But you notice there, Charles, as we had Crab kind of cheating in a little bit going into turn 1, Burkhardt on entrance using every last inch of that curbing to try and open up turn 1 and carry as much speed as he could down the hill.
Yeah, it really did. As you were sitting there watching, it looks really smooth behind the wheel. Not really forcing the car to go where it needs to go. He's just letting the car drive, and he's putting it in the right position, and he's making it work. He's already look at the inside move there. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a move that I did not expect to see coming in through turn 6 and up the hill to turn 7 to get around Miles Crab. So move Crab back in the 5th position now. Burkhardt, who's made up 11 positions in about 2 1/4 laps. Oh, big tap from Beans Forster to the rear of Josh Soto's machine. And I think Forster was expecting Soto to maybe carry a little bit more momentum through the hairpin as he's fallen off the back of Schooler just a little bit. But let's watch here as they come down into turn 12. Again, this is a prime overtaking spot normally. And for the moment, they're all content to just stay in line.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just line of stern, just looking for that. Looking to stay where they are, waiting for the next long straight probably.
All right, 2 racers that aren't content to stay in line. This is Josh Justice coming deep on the brakes to get around Mark Sherman in the number 18 machine. That is the battle for 12th. And now look at this, Burkhardt. He's making his presence known to Beans Forster as they come through the stadium section, come through 17 and 18, and now Morgan Burkhardt moves up into 3rd, move Forster back into 4th.
Yeah, obviously we just caught the last bit of that, but Burkhardt is making moves in places that I didn't think you could really make moves. I think he's just finding. As soon as he finds a crack, he's just working his way in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Charles, if you didn't think that those were places, and I didn't think that they were places, I'm pretty sure from the outcome that there are also places where the racers didn't know that he could pass either.
And there's another pass coming through turn 1, took the inside. He's out to P2.
Yeah, nice move there on Soto. And same deal, Burkhardt, he was carrying so much speed down the hill. He got right into the back of the 111 machine, trying to give maybe Schooler a little bit of a push. But man, you can see this even as they come through the S's, the exit speed that Burkhardt has coming out of the corners, that just these other drivers, they just cannot match it. He's just that much more smooth.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh. And there might have been some contact there, but Schooler's now going to drop all the way back in the 5th position. Maybe not the bump and run we expected there, but as they come up into the hairpin, it's Burkhardt and now Soto side by side. And oh wow, look how loose Burkhardt gets coming out of the hairpin.
Yeah, Schooler basically I think was already losing the rear end. I don't know if Burkhardt got into it, maybe just a touch. But great job by Schooler to catch that car and manage to stay in 5th position. He's still in the fight. He's just at the back of the pack instead of the front now.
All right, and for a moment there, we were 3 wide coming out of the hairpin. Going into turn 12, it's Soto to the inside. It's then Burkhardt to the outside. Forster possibly with a little love tap on the back of the 07 machine. Wasn't any room for him to get around as the driver's now coming around into that stadium section, and they're going to come up now onto that very tight turn number 16. And wow, and Miles Crabb having lots of problems negotiating 16. He has the rear end step out on him. He gets out of the throttle, and he now loses sight of the top 4 drivers, and he's sitting right in between those 4, and then he's got Michael Snow, Andrew Wozencroft, Jim Brewster back behind.
Yeah, I think now Crabb's thinking, okay, I need these guys to fight for a couple of laps to give me a chance to make up that ground. As we see the 7 sideways coming through the last corner there.
You know, it's interesting because Burkhardt made a comment when you were interviewing him after the Spec Racer Ford race about how it seemed like they were driving on the surface of the sun. And you know, I mentioned we typically see the Miatas very, very loose in the opening laps, but here is we're about 4 laps in. It's, you know, you get a little bit of a slip angle, but you don't see them stepping out under acceleration like we're seeing now. I can only imagine how hot the track surface is right now.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be pretty hot as we see the battle here between Wozencroft and Snow for P6 and P7. And they're also thinking the same thing. If these guys had just fought a little more, we could get up there and join them. But this track is normally known for hot temps. So, and these guys in the front, at least that front 5, they're pushing hard. They've been battling from basically since the start of the race, swapping positions left, right, and center. So it wouldn't surprise me that they're burning through the tires really quickly.
Yeah, I'm just worried. I'm concerned as, you know, we're only working lap number 5. And from the looks of it, this is probably going to end up being, around an 8-lap race, I think. We're 11, almost 12 minutes into this race, and I'm just wondering what kind of tires, if any, they're going to have remaining at the end.
They just may be on the rims by the end of the race.
That's exactly what did Morgan say?
Train wheels. That's right.
Yeah, well, you know, the Miatas are about an O gauge, I think, so. We'll just stop at the Lionel shop. There's one here in Charlotte that we can go to.
Well, there you go.
All right, we're on board right now with Giancarlo Schooler, currently running in 3rd position, and he's looking back at Josh Soto in the 07 machine. Soto, who had been up as high as 2nd place, now finds himself back and forth, and Miles Crabb. He's still having a little, you know, he doesn't have the draft, so you know, he's got to hope that he can get back up to the 07 machine, maybe under braking as they come out of the final corner here. But you know, we typically see, at least in iRacing, in order to really get any kind of effect of the draft on these MX-5s, on these Spec Miatas, you really need to be within about a second of the car ahead of you, and you know, right now, Crabb's not there.
No, he's not. And Burkhardt is actually opened up a 1.2 second gap up front. So he's already trying to stretch out, and he's basically broken the draft to the cars behind.
Yeah, there they go as they come up through the S's now with Forster and Schooler, and then Soto. And now, just as I say it looks like Miles Crabb maybe, as they went up into turn 1, and the 3 ahead of them were kind of fighting for position and fighting for second. It has allowed Crabb to now get within about 3 car lengths of the back of Josh Soto's machine. So he should be in good shape when they come out of the hairpin here in just a moment, as they're now heading into turn 11, and they're going to come onto the back straight.
You've seen that quite a bit. Is you get 2 cars in the middle of the pack battling. It gives that front car a gap, and it reduces the gap behind. So that may have been the contributing factor to Burkhardt getting this nice gap back to P2.
we've been watching, they just came out of the hairpin right behind our lead 5 cars. Neat little fight going on. Andrew Wozencroft in the orange number 80 and Michael Snow in the 077. But we'll go, oh, and look at this, as Burkhardt runs off at turn 12, and it looks like, I don't know if he had a mechanical issue. Now, I know he had some issues, injured his hand earlier, and he has now taken the car to the pit lane. Morgan Burkhardt is out of this race. That is going to move Giancarlo Schooler up into the lead. Beans Forster second, then Soto, and now Miles Crabb in 4th. And looks like Morgan Burkhardt's night is now done.
So get a little information from the virtual production booth. He's saying that he blew his engine on a downshift.
Oh, wow.
So the money shift takes him out of the money position for tonight.
Oh, wow. And these are the sequential machines. It's not that easy to blow these engines, but it looked like I guess you can only use so much engine braking going down into turn 12 apparently.
Yeah, he was going down there. I saw the puff of smoke and I thought he'd just locked up. I did not realize that he had actually blown it up. So this makes it a very interesting battle here. You got 4 cars now that are going to battle for this win.
That's right, and so here we go. Beans Forster now side by side with Giancarlo Schooler as they come out of 2, and they're going to head into the S's. And this is an area of the track that isn't typically a section that you'd want to go too wide. Wow, as Schooler grabs all the curbing.
That's why you don't go too wide through.
That's exactly. And you remember when I said you could probably do that in an MX-5, that you couldn't do it in a Spec Racer Ford? There you go. All right, as they come up the hill into turn 7 and 8. And then they're going to rock right back down through 10 and over towards the hairpin. For the moment, Giancarlo Schooler, he's held off the attack from Beans Forster, and Forster now drops into 4th position behind Miles Crabb as they come out of the hairpin and start to make the run. And we've got Forster and Crabb side by side in the battle for 3rd, as Soto now, he's just locked in right behind the 111 machine. Let's take a look as they come now. Again, a 6/10 of a mile straightaway here. Very, very long. Here at the last moment, Schooler gets defensive. He's going to give the curbing to the 07 as they come now down into turn number 12, and Soto really nowhere to go.
Yeah, Soto nowhere to go there, and Forster with a good move, late braking on the inside, because obviously he was on the inside, outside the draft, so that was an uphill battle that he had to fight going into that turn, and did a really good job with it.
All right, here as they come in to that double apex right-hander, turn 17 and 18. They're going to start to make that run down. Only a couple more corners left here in lap number 7, as we've got 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining, which tells me here, Charles, I think our racers, they're going to be getting the white flag this time by as they come out of turn number 20 onto the front straight. And yeah, there it is. White flag is in the air. We're 3 wide on the front straight. Soto's got inside position. He's also got about a half a car length on Beans Forster, the 111 car of Schooler, trying to open up this corner, but he's going to get trapped to the outside. Can he make the run? Can he make the pass from the outside as he comes down and track switches back to a right-hander? He gets around the 07 machine. And, Charles, I didn't think he'd be able to do that from as far back as he was coming up the hill.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. So I think the money here is going to be who is going to be the first car coming out of the hairpin at the end of the backstretch.
All right, there you go, is Soto now. Oh, and maybe a little contact there coming through turn 7 and 8 as they head up the hill. And actually get now through turn 8 as it looked like Soto might have loosened up Schooler just a little bit as they now rock down towards the hairpin. And you said it, Charles, and And look how shallow the 111 car Schooler is. He's not going to be able to carry that much speed out of the corner, is he?
No. 231 Forster just got a little loose, getting back on the power. Had the good run, had the cut back, and couldn't really make it work for him. But now you've got all 4 cars in line as we're coming down to the end of this. And who's going to come out on the other side?
Yeah, and they're all hugging the left lane there, the left side of the track. Now look, Soto, as Schooler moved over to center track, Soto tries to come down the center, and probably Schooler runs deep, gets the braking done very late, and Beans Forster now is your leader with Soto running in second, Schooler dropping back to third, Miles Crabb looking to attack on Schooler as we now only have 3 more corners remaining, actually a little bit more than 3, make it 4 more corners remaining as they come out of turn 16, and they're going to go around the Grand Plaza over by the amphitheater there. Beans Forster, your leader through 17, your leader through 18, just 2 more corners remain. Soto's trying to set up to the inside with 2 corners left. Can he keep the position?
Well, here we go. It's all coming down to this
And now
last
look
corner.
at Schooler coming deep into turn 20 as he tries to get underneath the number 07 machine, and they're all beating and banging and taking the win. It's going to be Josh Soto. He is your winner. He gets around Forster in the final corner. Forster will come home in second. Schooler will finish third. Miles Crabb will finish fourth. And thank God I don't have to pay the repair bills on that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a great finish. That was a great last lap.
It
Changed
was.
positions 3 or 4 times. Everybody, fanning out or staying in line on the inside, then fanning out for the corner, still swapping positions over. Soto takes the win, half second between 4 cars at the stripe.
All right, so Wozencroft will come home in 5th. Michael Snow will finish in 6th. Then we got Jim Brewster, Trenton Kramer in 8th, Charles Vaccaro in 9th, Josh Justice in 10th. And then we've got Sherman and Effinger here. And there, actually, it's Effinger and Wayne Buttermore coming across the stripe. Joaquin Effinger in the 700 machine. The Texas machine will finish in 12th. Wayne Buttermore will finish in 13th position as Morgan Burkhardt, Corey Heffron, and Ethan O-Ring do not finish the race. All right, so can we just now say wow?
Wow. Indeed.
Just wow. All right, so let's do this. I'm tempting fate here, Charles, and you tell me. It's your first time with the Esports Racing League. I've got Josh Soto, I've got Beans Forster, Giancarlo Schooler, and even Morgan Burkhardt here all sitting in the waiting room. Should I bring them all in at once?
Bring them all in at once.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. All right, let's bring them on in. Taking the win tonight here at Circuit of the Americas, it's Josh Soto. He is joined by Beans Forster, as well as Giancarlo Schooler, and even a Morgan Burkhardt. And everybody fight, and you got it, Charles. I'm stepping away.
Oh wow! So we're sitting here watching the start of the race, and it's just 6 wide going into turn 1 behind you guys. So that was absolutely fantastic racing. So I want to start with Morgan, who started the back and worked his way up to the front in about 3 laps, and then what happened after that, Morgan?
Well, I knew starting at the back, I didn't really get many laps in qualifying. The laps that I did in, I got really crossed up and ended up going off a couple times. So I knew that I had to get the hammer down and really just go for it from the start. And I got a pretty good jump off the start and really, just went full send into turn 1. Made basically a 3-point turn. I had to clutch kick off the corner because I was so low in first gear on the pinching the exit of turn 1. But able to just kind of get through the pack, avoid the incident at 1 the lap later, and then I got to the lead, got a comfortable gap, and then my one working hand had a little spasm and went down 2 gears at once into the hairpin and detonated the motor.
I guess that's one way of ending the race, not the preferred way, but it was dramatic. I would say that.
It definitely was. It's fun to watch towards the end.
It was. Yeah. So let's go back to our podium sitters here, Soto, Forster, and Schooler. it was lap change, driver position change after position change. Seemingly every other corner, you guys were swapping spots. So let's start with Josh. Talk about your perspective from this race.
Oh man, it was it was an intense race. We're all like, the top three were there were like very equal. So the racing was just very close. Going into the last lap, it was just try to set up the back straight, for a pass. And we ended up going 3 wide, almost 4 wide with Crab. And then I think Benjamin Forster, he went a little bit, no, he got a good run out of there. And then Giancarlo went a little bit wide. It was like it's just a very intense battle. Just like try to avoid, crashing into everybody else.
All right, so let's bring in Benjamin and Giancarlo, or Beans, I think is what you've been called. So we'll call you Beans. So yeah, from your guys' perspectives, I mean, it was like I said, from start to finish, it was just battle after battle on the track.
Yeah, I was just trying to have as much fun as I can. That's kind of my number one for this league. So that means fighting harder than you can fight anybody else on the service. And it's always clean when we do it too.
Giancarlo?
I think he's having his little Discord things where it'll work in the interview room, and then as soon as we bring him into the actual interview, it just doesn't work. So he can hear us, but he can't speak.
It's almost better that way, Charles.
I can't say that because Giancarlo has been in the interview room for the Weekend Warrior, so we've talked with him before. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I think he's working now. Actually,
are we working?
Yeah.
There we go. Well, I mean, yeah, it was a great race tonight. Tons of fun. Coming P3, I thought I could come maybe first or second. That white flag lap, but it was tons of fun. Very respectful racing all around. I love coming out here and spending time with the guys. It's always tons of fun. And thank you to Stevie for putting this on, and thank you to you guys for the amazing broadcast. It's just tons of fun week in and week out.
Greg, got anything for him?
Anything for these guys here? No,
Yeah,
I think.
Hey, you know what? We've got Miles down in the waiting area.
Oh,
also.
do we? All right, let's do this. This has got to be the most crowded announce booth I have ever been in. Let's bring in Miles Crabb, who finished 4th tonight in Spec Miata. Miles, welcome to the group chat.
Yeah, I noticed everybody was in here talking about it, so I decided to join.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on down.
That was some more stupid fun, like the Spec Racer Ford last couple laps. I threw a tight setup on it because I was wrecking loose in qualifying, and that was the wrong decision. I couldn't turn under anybody and do anything. So, outstanding job amongst the top 4. Sorry, Morgan, I heard you spazzed your left hand and downshifted twice. Yeah, no, that was a whole lot of fun. A whole lot of clean, not dirt, not. What is the correct way to phrase this? It wasn't clean, scrappy, clean racing. There you go. It's always fun. I heard somebody talk about that every time they have to race in this league, it's full out from the word go, and we're usually clean. And yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've came in from the Weekend Warrior side, so yeah, this is absolutely fun. I enjoy watching these Esports races, and you guys put on a great show tonight. So well done to all of you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
I'm tired now.
I was going to say we're all wiped out, and now we've got to figure out how to eject all y'all at one time. All right. Thanks so much to Morgan Burkhardt, to Miles Crabb, to Giancarlo Schooler, to Charles. Well, of course, thanks to Charles Michelle. He's my guest. To Beans Forrester, and of course, our winner tonight, Ian Spec Miata, Josh Soto. Congratulations, all you guys. And I guess we'll see you hopefully in 2 weeks. We're going to have next week off, but we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Tell you what, guys, just hang in here for a moment because it's going to be harder for me to get rid of you. So let's go and wrap things up here, Charles. And want to thank you so much for joining us here tonight and filling in for Jack Ritchie. Jack, hope you get better soon. Want to also thank Lee Thompson, of course, always for working behind the scenes here, and all the great people from Apex Racing TV, Stevie Ray and Greg Hubler, and all the great folks with Ray Esports Racing that allow us to bring you this event almost every week. As I say that, we're going to be taking next week off for the 4th of July, and so make sure to join us in 2 weeks when we descend upon WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the last regular season outing of the Ray Esports Racing League, presented by Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, Spec Racer Sports, Common Gear, and Grass Paddock Motorsports. Tuesday night, that is going to be, I believe that's July 11th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful 4th of July.